Hey, so are you like me and you love a good custom piece of drinkware? I'm talking glass mugs with vinyl cute sayings on the front. Love it. Or what about a little glitter and resin moment here? Love. But here's what I don't love about those things. Neither option is dishwasher safe. My biggest fear is that someone in my family will accidentally place a non-dishwasher safe cup in my dishwasher and ruin the design. So what if I told you that there are options out there that can still give us the cute sayings on our drinkware, but they're dishwasher safe? That's what today's video will be all about. So today we're going to be etching glass. That's right. Do you see that? Look at that. It says mom juice. So I still get to have that really cute design, but it's dishwasher safe. Do you want to know what you'll need? Here's your list. And without further ado, let's get to etching and roll that Cricut design space footage. So here I was just uploading my design into Cricut design space, and now I'm cutting the vinyl using my Cricutmaker. However, whatever vinyl cutter you have will be absolutely sufficient for making this vinyl stencil. Initially, which is what you're witnessing here, I decided to use removable vinyl. I thought at the end, once you see the whole process, in my mind, I thought it would be a lot easier to remove once we were done with the etch cream. So, vinyl's done cutting, so now we're weeding, and I'm off to a really great start. Weeding, it's almost like muscle memory, not a problem. So this is just sped up just because it's mundane. I'm cutting off the edges. Oh, look at me. I am so getting this done. So I peeled that off, and then I shortly after realized I weeded the wrong portion. So here I am giving it another try. And what you want to do when you're weeding the vinyl is weed the parts that you would typically leave behind. So if you were placing a vinyl decal on a cup or whatever, typically that portion that you would leave behind to actually place onto the cup, that is the portion that we are removing from the vinyl. Now, I wanted to include this footage because I wanted you guys to see the mistakes that I made. So I wanted you to learn really from my mistakes. So that was the first mistake. Mistake number 2 is coming up here very shortly. So after weeding the vinyl correctly, I then took Cricut transfer tape and decided that I would use that to place my decal on my drinkware, which is just a stemless wine glass, okay? So I initially cleaned it. That's where you saw the alcohol that I had there, which is also, by the way, on the list of things that you do need, isopropyl alcohol. I would suggest 70% or above. I just happen to be using 99% in this video, but this is where I encountered my second issue. The Cricut transfer tape is actually a little bit too strong for removable vinyl. Have you hit the like button yet? If not, here's your opportunity to do so. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe and also hit that little bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Now, back to our regularly scheduled footage. I quickly learned that I wasn't able to separate the vinyl stencil from the transfer tape without ripping the stencil. So that's the problem. So then I went to plan B. This might be C. Anyway, I decided to then use permanent vinyl. I thought perhaps it was because I was using the removable vinyl. Okay, so I'm weeding it. Like I said, you're weeding in reverse. So the way you would typically weed permanent vinyl, everything that you would typically keep on that sheet to transfer, you need to weed out. Okay, and you want to be left with what looks like a stencil, because that's where the etch cream will come into play, but we'll get there. So I'm weeding this vinyl, and my goodness, let me tell you, I had never used this vinyl that was in my stash, and Thank goodness. I think I purchased it from Amazon, if I'm remembering correctly, but it was a pain, okay? Pain to weed. However, we're going to go ahead and weed this vinyl. I think I had like a little side conversation with my daughter. I think that's when I was talking to her at this point, which is why it took me so incredibly long to weed this vinyl. But it was also a really difficult vinyl to weed. I need to go back and look at my order history and see, what is this? I've had it for a while though. So at any rate, I used permanent vinyl. At this point, I realized it's the transfer tape, because I could feel the tackiness, and I realized that I needed to use something that was a little less tacky, at which point I decided I would switch over to a transfer tape I purchased from Walmart that I thought would work better for this situation. And it turns out it actually did. So here in this clip, this is the very last clip. But like I said, I wanted to show you the mistakes I made so that you realize we may not get these things the very first time we try a new product or a new project. However, keep at it. Don't give up, right? So I'm using this removable vinyl here, and I decided to use the transfer tape, which you can kind of see a bit of there, that I purchased from Walmart, and it worked like a charm. Now, putting on the stencil, it was a little challenging, and you'll kind of see me work through some of those challenges, but I wasn't really too concerned about any wrinkling around the edges of the stencil. It was more so making sure that the actual letters were down correctly and that the seams around the letters were okay. Once I was able to secure the stencil in place, I then knew that I was on the right track. So I peeled off the transfer tape with so much ease, and pardon me for all of the movements, but I wanted to make sure that you would actually be able to see the portion where I am going to be placing the Armour Etch etching cream. So at this point, I am super excited because the directions for this Armour Etch is super simple. Step 1 is to apply your stencil. We did that to a nice dry and clean surface. However, if you see right there, as I'm applying this etching cream, you see how I kind of went outside of boundaries of that vinyl and landed on the glassware. Although I did wipe it up relatively quickly, I still, once I peeled that stencil off at the end, I could still see where it kind of started to already make a little etching mark there on the glassware. So I would suggest you leave a border around your artwork large enough for you to work. So that's something that I took away from that experience. But we did step 1. Step 2 is to brush on, which is what I'm doing currently. Brush on a thick layer of Armour Etch. Now let me say this, because I did not say this before I began. I placed gloves on, and I also had on a mask, and I opened up my windows to ensure proper ventilation. This etching cream is actually really caustic, and so one of the things you want to be very mindful of is the space that you're working in, the ventilation. Also, make sure that you protect your hands, because you should really not be getting this stuff on your hands. It is really not a good idea. So I kept my gloves on the entire time, but once you put that cream on, the directions for Armour Etch said 1 to 3 minutes. I'm going to tell you, I didn't follow directions. So I decided 6 minutes. So I let this cream sit on my wine glass for 6 minutes. The next project that I do, I'm thinking I'm going to double the time, because I just want to see, like, is there a difference, or is there just a point where it's like, this is as far as we're going to etch? You know, is there a time limit? Is there, once it hits a certain point? I'm just curious. So at any rate, you don't have to do what I do. Follow the directions if you would like to, but I did let my cream sit for 6 minutes. And then at some point, what you're going to notice is I begin to wipe the excess off and back off of the glass, and I actually end up putting it back in my container because I was kind of reading up on this a little bit, and you can reuse it. So It is, I think it's a 10-ounce container that I purchased off of Amazon, and based off of the tiny amount that I used for this glassware, I can only assume that this stuff can last quite some time, depending on the volume of glasses that, or things that you're etching, I guess. Once this is done, you then run the item with the stencil still in place. You run it underneath running water. And the whole, reason of that, so as you can see here, see how I'm taking that popsicle stick to take off the excess? Boom. So I'm going to run that over, rinse it underneath running water, and then at the same time, as I was rinsing, I removed the stencil. It was super easy to rinse off, but I will tell you, as I was rinsing, I could really feel the texture, the etched texture underneath. It was, first of all, my mind was blown because, listen, these things are dishwasher safe, which is so awesome. Now, once I remove the stencil, as you can see here, I'm just taking my weeding tool and I'm removing the little pieces of the stencil that did not initially come off. And that was super easy. There was really no struggle. I only took my weeding tool, because they were tiny pieces, but super easy to remove. And can I just tell you how excited I am to try some other projects? I know that etching is not a new concept. However, it's new to me. So I enjoyed it so very much, and I hope that you all did as well.
Please be sure to like the video if you enjoyed today's content. And don't forget to subscribe. And also hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. And most importantly, leave a comment below and let me know what kind of videos would you like to see. Until next time, bye.